Well, once again, we have just prayed the Stations of the Cross. And it is a somber and sad experience. We accompany Jesus as he's betrayed by his friends, falsely arrested, mocked, and condemned by a mob. We watch as he's tortured by a powerful military government and executed. Now, there is a certain Christian piety that wants to make Jesus' sufferings unique and salvific in and of themselves. But unfortunately, what happened to Jesus on that day 2,000 years ago was not uncommon in his day, nor it is in ours. Remember, there were two other men that day who endured the same horror that Jesus experienced, as did many others in the Roman Empire. You see, what makes the horror of Jesus' passion and death significant for us is God's presence in these events. Now, that may seem like a shocking claim. God doesn't seem to be present in the passion of Jesus and in his death. The disciples are there. The Jewish leaders, the crowd, the Roman soldiers are there. It seems like even the forces of evil and death itself are all present. God? If we take seriously the claim that the Jewish man Jesus is God with us, then in Jesus God entered into all that Jesus experienced in the Passion. In Jesus, God entered into the experience of betrayal. God entered into the experience of being falsely tried and tortured and killed. And this is the real scandal of the Christian cross. You see, no Greek or Roman God would do anything like this. There could be no more shocking thing to say in the ancient Roman world than to claim that it was because Jesus was in the form of God that he emptied himself, took the form of a slave, became human, and died on the cross. What sort of God would do that? Certainly not Zeus or Apollo or Mars or any of the divinized Roman emperors. They were interested in preserving their power, their glory, and domination. None of these gods would give up immortal life to become human. None would endure death, and certainly not the shameful death of the cross. And no ancient God would ever think of sharing divine life with us. And yet, we believe that is exactly what the living and true God has done for us in Jesus' passion and death. Our God didn't remain in heaven. The God of Jesus didn't keep at a safe distance, but risked getting involved in everything about us. God so desired to be with us that God willingly entered into our brutality, our hatred, our acts of violence and murder. God endured the shame and pain of the cross to free us from the violence and death that we inflicted on Jesus. Our God endured the shame and pain of the cross to pour God's life into the darkest of our ways in order to transform them. This is why Pope Francis says that our God is a God of mercy, infinite and abundant mercy. You see, I think if we take seriously Jesus' death and resurrection, we have to dramatically reimagine who we think God is. Because for St. Paul, Jesus' death and resurrection is God's definitive act of love for us. God's definitive act of love for God's enemies. Not even killing God's Son could turn God off to us. I think we have to dramatically reimagine and expand our sense of how much God wants to be involved in our lives. In the ordinary, everyday experiences, but also in those dark places we are embarrassed to talk about. And certainly in those places of joy. So this Lent, as we move towards Jesus' passion and death, allow the mystery of the cross to help you discover anew a God who desires deeply to be involved in every dimension